Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of our podcast. Today we have Indroneil with us, an alum of IITR who started his journey as a physics student here, had a roller coaster ride in the campus, and took that leap of faith when he decided to drop out, shaping himself as a musician now. He will be sharing his journey and learnings with us today. So hey Indroneil, how are you? How's Dubai?
I'm good, Prashiv. Thank you so much for having me here. Um, Dubai is, well, it's warm. It's not as cold as I'd like a winter to be, but I'm hanging in there. It's fine.
Do your family stay at Dubai?
Yeah, my family, my parents and my sister, they stay here. But I was in Roorkee, well, from 2014 till 19. Actually, my family shifted here when I was in 10th grade. So beyond that, 10th, 11th, and 12th I did here, and then I went to Roorkee. And then after 5 years, I dropped out and went to Mumbai. And now, because of the COVID lockdown thing, I came back here. So
Uh,
I've been here for about a year now.
so that J preparation of yours, you also did from Dubai only.
Yeah, that's right.
When did you started learning music? Was it before coming to college, or things started to change after you get in IIT?
I think I always had a thing for music. I just happened to realize it in college. It's like when I was very young, I think about like 8 or 9, I would, um, I think my mother took me to like these classes, like Hindustani vocals classes. Over there, also, I was pretty good at it. Like, I learned a little bit. Um, but then my voice cracked, and then I couldn't sing anything, and I got so depressed I just quit singing altogether. But then around like to 13, 12 or 13ish, around that age, I picked up the piano. My parents figured, okay, I'm interested in that, so they gave me a piano, like a small toy piano. And
Mhm.
then most of my learning happened by um, transcribing things that I heard around me, like maybe some Bollywood tune that mother sings in the kitchen while she's doing work, or things that I heard on the radio, or random CDs that dad bought at the time, or mostly Indian music. And those things that I would hear, I would transcribe it and learn it on the piano. And that's how most of my learning happened. I also joined a piano class for about a year or so, but yeah, it also helped me develop at least a basic technique, right, and gave me some idea about the basic music theory, like what are the names of the notes, what are the chords. But that's it. I didn't really like that class a lot, and I quit that soon. um, and then most of my education and then has been on my own, that I've been learning songs that I like on my own, slowly uh, build up technique. It wasn't ever at this point like something that I would consider doing professionally.
Mhm.
But once I came into the college, I was studying physics, and then around I got into the music section in my first year. That's
Mhm.
something, and I had some really nice seniors who who were very welcoming and very, yeah, they were very nice to me, and they were also inspirational.
Mhm.
Like a lot of them really inspired me. They ex- I got exposed to some really good music there, uh, and that's actually when it
Starting.
started to change. Like I would hear these pieces of music, and I would be like, okay, this is just something else, right? It would be so nice if I could like create something like this, you know. And that's around my second year. I think I would like, at the very back of my head was like, fuck, this would be so nice. I'm sorry if I'm not allowed to say. Am I okay if I? Is it okay if I
Yeah,
say
yeah, yeah,
that?
yeah.
Okay. Like around that second, I would get these feelings when I would hear some of the artists that I was exposed to. That, okay, wow, it would be so nice if I could create something like this. And I got that inspiration. And as time passed, and as I put more and more thought into it, as I tried more, as I became a better musician, as I wrote better ideas, I got some, motivation, you could say, that, okay, maybe I can do this. And it just grew stronger and stronger by the end of my college. That's a summary of how that happened.
Yeah. So you started it by playing through ear in a way.
Yeah, you could say that. Yeah.
Okay, so people usually take music as a skill for which you need a
Hmm.
mentor. You need a formal teaching for to learn it.
Right.
So do you
Yeah.
think is it possible to learn music on your own?
Well, also the answer kind of depends on how you define learning on your own, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
I don't think if you're speaking very strictly, I don't think anyone can learn things on their own. In the sense that if I were, let's say, okay, weird analogy time. If I were stranded in some island and I just got this piano and I have never heard a piece of music, I don't think I can become a very good musician, no matter how much time I spend on it. You know,
Hmm.
in what I'm getting at is that okay, in a conventional way, you could say that okay, I learned a lot of music on my own, but I couldn't have learned this without hearing a lot of really good music. In I learned from some amazing artists, most of whom are dead, but I still learned from people in that sense. I wasn't spoon fed things,
Hmm.
you know, for a very long time. Most of my learning happened through me understanding music, we hearing music, hearing music that other people have made. So in that sense, I don't think it's completely fair to call me self-taught because, of course, I'm inspired from a lot of music.
Hmm.
But in a conventional way, you could say that yeah, I'm mostly self-taught, and I would definitely say in this sense, at least, it's definitely possible to learn things on your own. But then the thing I would say is that um, well, it is difficult. It is really difficult, and it would take uh, a really motivated person, someone with also preferably a lot of free time. And so yeah, that's something I would say. So if you have a lot of free time and if you're really motivated and you feel you're capable of doing it, man, I mean, I would say if as long as you're motivated, that's probably one of the most important factors. Like I really loved music. I really wanted to play the pieces that I was attempting at the time. The first piece that I really learned, it was such a difficult piece, but I didn't know anything, right? It took me a year and a half to learn that piece. Year and a half. Every day I would sit on the piano for a couple hours and then I would play. Year and a half. Right? It's a very difficult piece. So, but then and I can imagine that if someone happens to lose the motivation somewhere in the middle of that, you know uh, and it happens sometimes, but then you not pick it up and just keep working on it, and that's how I learned. I mean, I think being motivated enough to do with it something every day,
Hmm.
that's probably one of the most important things.
Yeah,
So
like if you are not motivated enough, then you will start to lose the things midway.
yeah, you'll learn it for a week, max for a few days or max a week, and then you'll lose it. No matter how talented you are, if you're not doing something every day, you can't be as good as someone who's
Practicing it
not
every day.
talented, but he does it
Practice.
every day.
Yeah,
That old story, the slow and steady, they
is
win
the
the race,
race.
man. Yep. Yeah, you can think of that.
Okay, so coming to your college journey, like you
Hmm.
started by doing a major in physics. You were a student in physics here, and you were
Yeah.
also involved in some coding things. And I
Ah,
think you
right.
you invested your time in some institutes like Bard, Mumbai, and
Yeah.
but ended up being a musician. So
Yeah.
I'm sure that like there must be something that had happened in between. So would you like to share the phases of your college life and how the ITR shaped the musician in you?
Yeah. Sure. So, I mean, I'm sure I'm not the only person uh, who, in their college life, around their 20s, early 20s or late teen phases, they didn't know what they wanted to do, right?
Same case as me.
I'm sure a lot of people hearing this right now, they don't know what they want to do, and I wasn't any different, right? I joined physics course. I don't know if I like when I joined it. I joined it because okay, I got a good enough JE rank to crack that course, and I like physics, and I joined it. I But then at the same time, I was also trying things. Yeah, I was always good at math, like fairly good, like and I was good at it, and I loved mathematics, and I found coding to be an extension of that,
Hmm.
and I naturally happened to become good at that as well. And in fact, don't know if you know this, I even joined SDS Labs. I got into SDS Labs, and I was there for a year or so. But then things happened, and I uh, eventually ended up quitting it for some other unrelated reasons. Anyway, so basically, I was just trying different things. I was getting I was trying music. I was investing time in that. I was
Hmm.
investing time in um, mathematics. I would solve problems online on websites like Ardush by SDS Labs or Project Euler, if you've heard of it. Or uh, yeah, so I really enjoyed that process of problem solving, and you know, so yeah, I love competitive coding.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, I think I was pretty good at it too. I just Again, I just was doing everything. It was more like, yeah, I was just doing all of these things, and eventually, all these options I had, like, okay, I was decent at physics. I wasn't okay, I guess it's not fair to say I was decent at physics because I was failing a lot of courses, and
Okay.
but I was decent, I would say, at least. Okay, not good, definitely decent at physics. I was decent at math. I was decent at music. I was decent at coding. I mean, at one point, you got to choose, okay, what are you going to do, right?
Hmm.
Which you can't do everything, right? So that's what I had, these few options, and I decided music is probably the best part of, and main reason being that I started to fail so many courses that I actually uh, getting a degree seemed to be a very difficult thing for me at this point. Like, even though I had stayed there for 5 years and it was a 5 year course, I had failed so many courses that I would have to wait about a year and a half more to finish all the courses.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
And due to some circumstances, due to some that I've had with the department, with the teachers, and etc., it would have been something that was extremely stressful for me. Uh, and if I had to do it, I would probably, have to do it. But then thankfully, I had another option. I really enjoyed music, really loved music, and I realized by the end of my 5 years that I was actually good at it. It wasn't. I was well, yeah, I was good at it, and I could do a lot of things that others. I could do a lot of things rather easily that a lot of people find very difficult, completely inaccessible. Weirdly enough, that also motivated me to an extent. Like, um, it meant that I have a chance of making it. I have a better chance than an average person, at least,
Hmm.
of making it. And I didn't know much about the industry, how it works at this stage, but with whatever knowledge I had, I took that decision of leaving the other things and, uh, pursuing music. The
So
end of
it
the day,
was.
man, I mean, people like different things, right? I'm sure you have multiple interests. At some point, you need to choose, okay, this is what my profession is, the others are my hobbies. And right now, math and physics are my hobbies. I study them in my free time, and music happens to be my profession.
So like
And
that, that's a
even
switch.
coding is a hobby now. Yeah, even coding is a hobby now. I often code to solve problems that are related to music. I mean, like, just if I come across a really nice problem on YouTube or something, I'll want to solve it. I still do that, but that's my hobby now. It's not my profession.
So in initial years, playing music was your hobby, and now it has become a
Yeah,
profession. And
yeah,
same vice versa for coding
yeah,
and physics. So
exactly.
it was in your late years of your college when
Hmm.
you finally decided or thought of taking. You started taking music seriously as a career option in the
Yeah, I
later
started
years.
considering it strongly. Yeah,
So uh, I also like have heard that you were going through multiple phases. There was some sort of like anxiety and stress for you as well.
yeah. I had a good amount of mental health issues while I was in college. I was depressed, and I also had severe anxiety issues, among a lot of other things. Um, but yeah, yeah. So I was going through depression, and it was in part, in a good part, the reason why I couldn't attend classes. I couldn't get sleep. I couldn't. Um, yeah, my sleep cycle was screwed. I couldn't even attempt to go to classes, and I would fail exams. I would fail courses because of my attendance, and also I started losing around my second year or so. That's when it started. I started losing interest in everything. That's also why I dropped out of SDS labs as well. I just didn't. It was very hard to motivate myself to do anything, and I just felt bad at the point. Okay, I'm in this group and I'm not doing anything, and I need to get out of it. So I got out of it, and also, yeah, so around my second year or like second semester actually, that's when it started, and it got worse in the middle, and yeah, that's how it is. But then I got better by the end of it at least, and now I'm a lot better today than I get better every day, man. Like, just that's the process. I mean,
So like
uh,
for a person in college and facing the same similar issues and is
yeah,
not able to motivate himself, so what are your words for them?
I would strongly, strongly recommend get a therapist. Very strongly recommend talk to a therapist. Mental health is a severe problem, and it destroyed my college life altogether. Right? I didn't get a therapist. I thought I could figure it out on my own, and I did figure it out on my own. But it cost me my college life. It cost me my degree, and cost me 5 years of my time. Right?
So
And
it took you, so how much time it took you to figure the things out?
probably around 5 or 6 years, man. Like I was struggling with it even until a year ago. You know, and again, this is one of those things like music. It's not like you can't figure it out on your own. It's just there is a cost involved. You need a lot of patience. You need to be very, very strong, and there is a price. You have to pay that price some way, right? And you either do that with your time, or you do it by paying a therapist. You know, and getting better a lot quicker. Again, same thing happening here. You need help, man. You need help, and you can choose to sit there and try to figure it out yourself. But I would really not recommend that. I would urge you to learn from my mistakes and seek professional help. I know it's expensive. Professional, unfortunately, mental health treatment and psychiatry and therapy is um, extremely expensive today. And there's also a lot of stigma associated with that,
Mm,
with issues like that,
mm,
which
mm,
makes it so much worse. It's really, really bad. But fortunately, there are the good things happening. I mean, on the bright side, things are better in the mental health department than have ever been in the history of humanity. You know, uh, there are at least are therapists and psychiatrists who take care of you, right? And there are a lot of services, I think, which gives huge discounts, and they let you do it online, and there are a lot. Yeah, so
So
that's.
like throughout this journey of yours, and
Hmm.
even when you decided to drop out, all those
Yeah,
at that time, what
yeah.
kind of response did you get from your parents? Like, have you ever interacted with them and told you about the phases that you were like experiencing at that time?
They had an idea that I was depressed and everything, and I was doing terribly at college. They knew that academically I wasn't doing well at all.
Hmm.
And around the fourth year or so, I pitched in the idea that maybe I want to do this. I had a 5-year course, just for the context. Uh, so of course, like any rational parent would take a good amount of time. I mean, would naturally feel repulsed by the idea of having the kid drop out of an IIT,
Hmm.
and as they were, and took me a lot of time, but to convince them that. But actually, more than them, it was myself that I wanted to convince. That once I was convinced myself that I can pull it off,
I
then
agree.
convincing your
Yeah,
parents is the lot easier job.
yeah,
It
I agree with you.
it came to a point that I told my parents that I understand where you're coming from. If you don't want to support me, that's fine as well. But I'm gonna do this with or without you. Came to that point. It was not of course. It was of course a little ugly, but came to that point. But eventually, they also started to understand that I can do this, and I'm also good at this, and they trusted me. I mean, I don't think they completely were convinced, but they trusted me at some point, and I'm so thankful to them for them. Because they did that. They had that trust in me, and today they are a lot happier than they were when I during that phase. And yeah, today they're happy with it, and they're fully supportive of me, and that's something that's a huge, huge bonus, man. Like having supportive parents, I would say, is like. But I can completely understand if uh, your parents aren't. And honestly, I can understand just how difficult in a position that puts you in. I don't know, my friends go through us very that very situation. Um, he's still struggling to it with it till date, having wanting to do something that's not a conventional job, but having a parents who can't be convinced otherwise, right? So he's still struggling with it. So, and I know it's a total struggle. Thankfully, I lucked out on this part, right? Thankfully, I have parents who understood and were supportive and would trust me. uh if not, I honestly don't know what advice to give you, man. Like, just if you really really want to do something apart from your, well, academics, some non-conventional job, and you really love it enough, I would, you know, urge you to probably think. Like, one of the thoughts that, that really struck with me, like, I, I one of the most one of the feelings that I hate the most is the feeling of regret. Yeah, I hate regretting things that I could have done something and now I haven't, and now here I am, right? And it's one of the feelings I fear the most. Now, you know, I the feeling like, I could have gone, become some coder or something, like a programmer in a well good paying job, but then, 20 years from now, if I look back and I thought, it might have been nice if I were a musician, and but now it's too late to do anything about it, right?
uh, so like you okay, so at that point when you were dropping out, did you
Mhm.
have any future plans? Like you said that you are a long-term person. So at that moment when we are dropping out, did you had some kind of like future plans in mind? Okay, so I'm going to do this, this, and this after I'm dropping out.
Yeah. So once my parents agreed, I mean, I started looking for music colleges across India, even
Hmm.
abroad, but the ones abroad were a little expensive. So in India, and there were a few, but like, I didn't have really any specific long-term plans. But I, because there were music schools in India, I was like, okay, um, they can give me a good starting point,
Hmm.
right? They can give me a head start at the very least. Yeah. So that's how I really um, curbed all the uncertainty. Like, there was still a lot of uncertainty, but I had to have a lot of faith. I had to
Hmm.
have hope that it would turn out. So I didn't have any specific long-term plans. No, I just knew that, okay, I want to be this, and I don't know how, but I think that, okay, if I join this school, maybe I'll know how. Does that make sense, right?
Yeah, it is.
So yeah. So again, I didn't know what to. I don't know what I wanted to become. Didn't know how, but that the school helped me give a direction, I would say.
So, so after this experience of yours, let's say there is
Yeah.
someone in India who is just starting his musical journey. So
Right.
how should one go ahead? Like, what steps should they take?
Just for some more context, what age do you approximately, roughly?
Like
Do you think it's like
17, 18, like our
17,
age?
18, right? Early college life. Okay. So in that state, if you're starting your music journey, right? I would say the first step is probably, okay, let's think about this for a second. How would you, if they want to become a musician, like professionally, if that's the goal?
Yeah.
I would say that, um, again, you need help. You're gonna need help. You can't do this alone. And you I would say that if possible, if it's financially feasible for you, join a music school,
Mm.
right? Definitely, that's probably an important thing. But if not, if you think you if not, then I would say that, uh well, make sure you don't need it. Make sure you're good enough to bypass the need of your school, right?
Mm. Mm.
First of all, you need a few things. Like, you need to be a good musician if you want to make it in the industry. There's no other
Mm.
way around it. You need to be a good musician. You need to be confident in yourself. You need to become a good musician if you aren't one already, right? Once you are that, the journey is still just starting, right? I think become being a good musician is one. There's no, uh, you have to be a good musician, and but at the same time, there is no shortage of good musicians out there.
Yeah.
Not all of them end up making it as a musicians, even though they can be very, very good. Now, then it's about, well, one of the most important things as a musician is your network. How many musicians do you know? Yeah. And what do they do? How good are they? Right? Your network is the most important thing as a musician. Your projects, the kind of things you have made, your portfolio, what have you worked on, who have you worked with, what are your projects that you worked on. I would recommend you should probably get make a really nice portfolio. When I say portfolio, I mean uh, a collection of your best works, the best things you have maybe composed or covered, and presented in a very nice way, mixed and mastered properly, and have it either on YouTube or Spotify, Bandcamp. There's so many services there.
Mm-hmm.
So that anytime you're approaching a new client, that okay, again, that depends, man. There's so many different kinds of roles. There's so many different kinds of musicians. There's, well, performers, there's singers, like instrumentalists, there's producers, there's mixed audio engineers, right? There's all different kinds of things, and every field comes with its own kind of complexities. If you're, let's say, a good singer, right, make sure you work in a lot of projects, make sure you work with a lot of people, collaborate with a lot of people, make yourself known, work on your online presence, yeah, and do gigs wherever you are, expand your following, publish material, release material. That's an approach to go with. And it's going to be a long process, going to be a difficult process, and it's going to take investment in time and in money.
A lot of
Yeah.
time.
Make sure you have that to begin with. Yeah. Um, so this is what it takes to be as an instrumentalist. As a producer, you need to get clients, you need to have your um, you need to get a good reputation and network. Network is the most important thing you can have as a musician, I would say.
And speaking about the like future life of yours, wow,
Huh?
what are your future plans from now on?
Right. So currently I'm in a position where I'm, well, financially stable. I teach on the weekends, and during the weekdays I teach like piano or music theory or whatever uh, people want to learn from me on the weekends. Like I take private classes, and on the weekdays I work on music among other things and other projects. And currently that is like a stable system, I would say. And at least I'm financially, like, sustaining, independent. It's like, it is close to being independent, not completely independent, close to being that. But I'm also looking to apply into some colleges in Europe and see if I can, start a life there and become a better musician when I happen. Yeah.
So, like, are you also doing some projects? Like, I guess you were working on some albums of yours.
Yeah. So I'm still working on my albums. I'm not still very good at that part yet. Getting better. I'm getting writing better songs every time I try, I write something better. That's all that it needs. I'm just The important thing is to constantly keep writing, and which I try to do best. Like constantly keep trying to write better stuff. And uh, I haven't been able to write a full album yet, but hopefully in a year or so I will be able to publish something that I'm proud of. Let's see. And I'm working on something. I have a good concept album, like 80% done, like at least read, like composition wise, and some more steps. I think there's another thing is that COVID has made things a lot more difficult than it has to be.
Totally agreed.
If I only had like musicians that I can work with and rely in the same room, this
Mm.
wouldn't take this much time, man.
Mm.
Uh, Working alone is very very difficult. Even if you can play all the instruments, um, make writing a full album alone isn't an easy thing to do at all, man. Yeah, yeah, definitely.
So when you look back at your college life, what are the best memories
Yeah.
that comes to your mind? Like, okay, this is the best part of my college life.
Uh, I think it's probably not very surprisingly. All of my best memories are um, related to music, related to going to music section at like 1 in the night and jamming with my friends. I had these two really nice uh, friends in music section. One was called Raj Suryan and another Vinam, and we used to jam a lot and hang out a lot and talk a lot about music. We would discuss. We would we kind of like not just us but also like other people, but we grew together, right? And we would listen to similar music and we would analyze and we would start to think similar ways, and we would a lot of very good conversations. And then there was inter IIT competitions. They started around 2016, I think, if I remember correctly. That's around my
The cultural one.
second, the cultural inter IIT, yeah. They started around 2016, So that was I was in my third year, I think, at the time. Sorry, you were saying?
I thought that inter-IIT, even the cultural one, like has been operating since starting times, like from 2001 or something. I didn't know that it is
2001?
was like I
No, no, no,
thought
it's not.
like
2016.
the
Ah,
moment Rookie turned into IIT and then
yeah, I'm sure you thought
started.
that, but it's a very new thing, relatively speaking. 2016 is when it started. That was in my third year.
So you were
So
the first guys who participated from our college.
yeah, I was the first guy who went to the. I was in Bombay. It was a very nice competition. I think again preparing for the inter staying back in the December, and just I think that was like one of my really cherished experiences. Um, it's a really fun times, man. Like being with the musicians you love, and you come to practice every day,
Yeah.
and there's nothing else to do. It's just music. You working on music, and yeah, man, that shit was so much fun. I really love the thrill you got when you were on the stage competing with these amazing other bands coming from other colleges.
Yes. Yeah.
You're again building your network again through that. Inter-IT
Yeah.
helped me a lot, like get my name not known, not just known in my college, but also among the other ITs, you know.
Yeah. So
So
that's another advantage.
yeah, man, inter-ITs were like those are a very cool. I think those was probably my most cherished experiences preparing for those. And because I was usually the one with the most free time, I wasn't really working on anything. Others had internships and this and that. I would usually take the leadership role and, if not close to leadership role, and guide people and organize practices and everything and write music. So that part was a lot of fun, man. That was like my final few years during the Decembers. I loved that time.
Uh, okay. So what are your words of advices for those ITR students who are yet like
Hmm.
who in their mind has some unconventional thing in their mind and want to take that leap of faith? So what are the words of advice from your side to them?
It's a difficult question, man. It's there's so many different variables. It's hard to give a lot of general good advice, but I'll try my best. I would say that if you have a non-conventional goal in your mind, well, I want you to ask yourself, how much do you love it, man? Like, do you love it enough to give up on your cushy, well-paying career that you can otherwise have easily?
Hmm.
Otherwise, have like handed to you on a silver platter now that you're in IIT. You know, you have to ask people, how much do you love it, man? Do you love it enough that you can give up on that? Do you love it enough that you can give up on what your society thinks of you, or what your relatives think of you, what your parents? Okay. I'm gonna hope that they end up being supportive, but the relatives they usually are a little bit more. Anyway, so yeah, do you love it enough that if you are ready to give up on all of that? If the answer is no, then you probably need more thinking to do. Have more thinking to do. If the answer is yes, that's when things start to get difficult. Then you have to start figuring out what are you going to do? What exactly are you going to do? How are you going to do it? Yeah. If not, talk to a lot of people. Talk to a lot of people who are doing it and take help from them. Take their advice. Yeah. Whatever field you want to do, talk to a lot of people in that field. Research that industry. How does that industry work? Right? Very
Hmm.
important thing. How do you make money from that industry? Yeah. You have to know these things, and you have to also have a lot of faith. Like, uh, I have to be really motivated enough is the thing. Once you do this and you just, it just wouldn't work if I gave up IIT for music and then I just lost interest in music after a few months. It wouldn't
Hmm.
work. Yeah. You have to know that you love it enough that you will be able to do it.
Continue.
Yeah. And one more other advice I would give you, man. Like when you're in that circle, in a circle surrounded by IITians who are all getting conventional jobs and or academic fields, it's going to be a lot more harder to imagine yourself doing something different.
Hmm.
Yeah. So that again is a filter, right? If you can still find yourself picturing yourself doing something else,
Else, yeah.
just know that once you get out of IT, it actually will not seem like that absurd an idea. Right now, if you're thinking about a very weird job, uh, it might seem absurd to you. And
Hmm.
a good part of the reason will be the fact that you're surrounded by people who are not thinking that. Once you get out of the college, then you just suddenly realize that, wait, you know how many people are that are not IITians, you know?
Mm.
And then when you realize that, and when you surround yourself with people like that, then you, like when I was in IIT in the final year, I was thinking, how like, is this really, is this really what I am going want to do? Like, everyone else is recommending me otherwise, right? Everyone else is telling me to do otherwise. But then when I get out of here and I'm meeting all these other musicians who have all dropped out of their random colleges, or if not dropped out of their colleges, then gave up on their work, or just didn't join a engineering college, and they were just probably interested in it even during their high school, so they just didn't go to a conventional college. They just came there, and you're just meeting all these people, who these non-IITians, and you suddenly realize that it's not really that absurd of a choice to do what you want to do. It
Mm.
might seem absurd when you're surrounded in that circle, but objectively speaking, it's not that weird, man. It's like something you deserve to do for yourself. If you really love something enough, I would say, I would really urge you to try. I wouldn't want you to, well, feel 20 years down the line, what if you had done that?
Yeah.
That would be a very sucky feeling indeed, man. Right now, I don't know if you can imagine that, but I think personally, that would be a very sucky feeling too. That's what I would say.
So trying is one of those things. Like if you have an interest, just try to figure things out.
Yeah. Just ask yourself, how interested are you? And if you are interested enough, figure it out, man. Like, decide, okay, I want to do this, research, talk to people, and figure it out, man. You're a smart person, I'm sure. Figure it out. Yeah,
So thank you so much, Indroneil, for being a guest on our podcast.
of course, man. Yeah, my pleasure. Nice to be